Earnestly podcast coming to you on August 24th, 2022. It is my favorite podcast of the year. Every season we do the NFL over-unders, win totals. Of course, we do this every year with the same two guys. My man, Zack Degenerate.
What's up?
The professor himself, Krizmanic.
How you guys doing?
I'm excited with this podcast, of course. NFL season around the corner. Lots going on. Lots to talk about. Let's get right into it, shall we? I mean, do you want anything you want to talk about? Like, what are you looking forward to most of the season coming to the year? Is there anything that stands out to you guys that you're looking forward to seeing before we get started?
Like all the quarterback shakeup in the league.
Okay. Zack?
Nothing really, man. I just want to see who comes out of the NFC East.
Well, I got a hot take for you guys coming up very soon. What should I say it now, or should I wait till after we do all these our numbers?
It's okay. We know you think Brian Dable will take you guys to the promised land.
No.
Ernest's hot take is what every other ESPN person's been saying. The Eagles gonna win the division.
Well, that I agree with, but no, my hot take is something else.
All right.
You think Commander Carson's going to take them to the promised land, I guess?
Well, reset it. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I think both Washington, Philadelphia, and Dallas go to playoffs this year, but we'll obviously get into that. Yeah.
Chris, I know when you looked at their schedule, you were like, holy fuck, how do they have so many gimme wins? Like, they got a bunch of gimme wins.
Well, let's get into it right now as we speak. First team on the docket. Maybe I bring this up real quick. Give me one quick. There he is. We have the Arizona Cardinals. The over-under is 8.5. Last season, they ended the year 11-6. Kyler Murray, new contract. Kyler Murray, is he going to be watching the videos and stuff? Reading the playbook?
More. They pulled that clause. He ain't got
it. They did. I'll be honest with you, and I think Zack said this before we started recording this podcast today. Of the 32 teams, this might be the probably the toughest one to gauge, because I think Vegas got this number right on. DeAndre Hopkins is out 6 games this year? 7 games?
6 games.
That's a big deal. If Hopkins is playing all 16 games, 17 games, this number is what, 9.5, maybe even 10.
Probably 9.5.
Okay, he's worth an extra game. Okay, but I feel like Vegas nailed this number. I'm gonna go over anyway, though. I'm gonna go over. I know 8. You seem to go 8-9. I think they're still. I think they're still at least at worst a 9-8 team. So, Zack, what you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under just for the simple fact. I think everything has to go right for them to win 9 games. Like, they have so many games that are more of a toss-up that if they were at home, they'd stand a better chance of winning. But they're going against decent teams on the road. And early in the season, when you're on the road without your best playmaker, that's going to be a struggle. They could wind up starting out the gate 2-4. And once you're in a hole like that, who knows how Kyler Murray's going to respond? He always struggles down on the back end of the season.
Kris?
I'm going to go under. They're a little more like an 8 and 9 team.
You guys were soft on the Cardinals, huh?
You saw the way his game, like Kyler's game, just regressed when he lost D-Hop. So to lose him for 6 games, you lose Christian Kirk, but you gain Marquise Brown, who was his teammate in college. So I'm going to go, that's a slight upgrade, but you did lose your first-round pick to do that. And you lose Chase Edmonds and Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones being probably your best defensive player. So
where did he go, by the way? Forgot.
So that's
honestly can't remember.
That's going to be a big time loss there. I don't see Kyler with all the news that went on with his contract and his like semi holdout and stuff, him getting better. Like, I just don't.
He's at the Raiders, by the way. Chandler Jones.
Yeah, he's in the Raiders. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a big pickup too. Ooh, We'll get to the Raiders later on in the podcast, but yeah. So Zach, you went under as well.
Yeah.
Not much under.
Yeah, so I
8
think you and
wins.
I think we were on the same wavelength. I think obviously 9 and 8 is where I probably have them at worst. 8, 9 for you guys, so we're in the same wavelength. I think how they do, obviously, the first 6 games without DeAndre Hopkins going to be a telltale, but yeah, definitely a step back from last year. Definitely, I think we all agree with that. All right, next team here we have the Atlanta Falcons, who their number is 4.5 wins. Ooh. Last season they went 4-13. Folks, I'm gonna keep this a little simple. This is gonna be the worst team in football this year. I'm going under.
But you started smoking way too early for this podcast.
Yeah, I know. You think you got over on this?
Yes. Look, when you have a weak offensive line and you have a statue at quarterback, it's hard to do anything. Now, at least with Mariota, you have a little bit of a run game. You know, he helps that offensive line just from being able to roll out, to do play action, to do an RPO once in a while. It's huge. It's a huge difference. And I like the weapons. All right. Kyle Pitts has done nothing but shine in the preseason. So, and 5-6 wins. I think they can do it.
When was the last time Marcus Mariota started a game? That's not one.
He got a handful of snaps for the Raiders last year.
Okay, handful. I'm rooting for the kid, for the record. We discussed this during the offseason, Zach, you and I, about Mariota.
Well, it's the guy
I'm
who
intrigued.
drafted him, so there is that there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Wait, so Zach, you going over?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're telling me all I need is 5 or 6 wins to get the over in a division like that.
The only thing I will say for you, though, that may work out in your favor is that the NFC on paper is very top heavy. So there's some room there in the bottom for us to steal some wins here and there. I just don't think this team will do it. I have another team that thinks I'm going to do steal a lot of wins this year, and I'll get to them in a second. Kris, what you got?
I got under, but I think 4 again seems pretty right. It's not going to be crazy like under, but I think the unders there they'll be top 3 pick, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think the number 1 pick in the draft.
And by the way,
go ahead.
Shout out to Arthur Blank, who still has the cheapest concessions of all of football after redoing the stadium, by the way.
Shout out to Arthur Blank. That's a real nice guy.
Shout out Arthur
Blank. How
much
did he pay for that stadium? $1?
Doesn't matter. The fact that they got every time you get something new, they jack the prices up every single time, and they have by far the cheapest stuff. There's $2 for unlimited refills on your soda there. It's like $18 for a soda.
Not miss the Home Depot, buddy. Not miss the Home Depot.
But you know what the biggest thing is? They finally hit on a good late round draft pick in fucking Oluokun, who led their team, who had like 192 tackles last year, and you let him walk for free to Jacksonville. Like, you can't do that. You lose Calvin Ridley. I think Zack forgot that Calvin Ridley's out for the entire year. And Russell Gage, your number.
He didn't play last year.
He's out for the entire year for being what Zach's name is on the screen, the Degenerate.
Yeah, he bet $1,200 and it's going to cost him $12 million.
Then you lose Russell Gage to free agency to Tampa Bay. They lost a lot of pieces. And honest to God, they took like the largest dead cap hit in history, trading Matt Ryan, which props to Arthur Blank again for letting his aging vets get a chance to win somewhere else instead of just locking him in for the rest of his career in Atlanta. But you get only a 3rd round draft pick for him. Like, if you're going to take that much of a dead cap hit, you got to probably get better than like a 3rd round draft pick. But kudos to just eating it for a year and signing a low money, high reward, low risk guy like Marcus Mariota. And hey, see what happens. They didn't reach for a quarterback in the draft. Everyone thought they would.
Great one. They managed to get it probably the best in the draft.
But they didn't reach in the top 10 to take anybody. They stood their ground. They got Desmond Ridder in the 3rd round. Like, I like the direction they're heading to, but losing all those guys, like top tier players on your team that's devout of talent already, Like it's Kyle Pitts and nobody else. Cordero Patterson, I guess maybe. Like
that's
they're closer to 4 wins.
Right. All right, next team here we have the Baltimore Ravens. Last season went the over/under is 9.5 wins. Last season went 8-9. Of course, you guys know they were 8-3 1 point last season with Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, being the MVP leader in the clubhouse, and then he gets hurt, misses the rest of the season. They lose every single game after that. This is tough because the Ravens roster-wise, not very impressive, but Lamar means so much to that roster, and because of that, I gotta still go over. At least they're at least 10-7. Even in a rough AFC this year, they are still at least 10 wins good with Lamar Jackson, as long as he's healthy. That's the big caveat.
It's 10.5. So
no, it's 9.5. 9.5. 9.5.
I see 10.5 here.
They moved it again then, I guess?
Yeah.
They must have moved it then. Okay, let's. All right. Regardless, even 10.5, I'm gonna go over that. I know. Lamar's that valuable. That
Lamar playing on the last year of his deal and not getting new one. That Lamar.
Well, he'll ball out, right? I mean, obviously.
He balls out anytime he's on the field, man. He doesn't need to do anything extra. This is the dumbest organization not to.
What numbers should we run? What do we want to run off? We want to run off to 10.5 or 9.5?
It's at 10.5.
Okay, let's run 10.5. I'll go over. Although 10-7 is where I probably would put him at worst, but I have faith that he'll win at least 11 games this year. So I'm gonna go over. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, look. 10 wins is a bottom. That's how good this team is. As long as Peters is healthy on defense, their O-line stays healthy, I don't care who they got at running back. And wide receivers, shoot, I got no problem letting Marquise Hollywood Brown leave when dude has basically led the NFL in drops
he's so bad.
since he came into the league. The only person who drops more passes than him is CeeDee Lamb. All right, that's how bad it is. So why not get rid of a guy who can't catch a football?
Because he's still your deepest threat and a game breaker.
Anyone with any speed can be a game breaker when Lamar Jackson's throwing you the ball. When you have to play man coverage max, there is no doubling up any wide receiver, any tight end, because you have to keep 8 men up in the box just to stop him no matter what.
Go ahead, Kris. Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
No, this man deserves $250 million guaranteed.
He deserves it. I don't know what's going to happen there, but
I bet Miami offers it next year.
Well, it's just he's going to get franchised. Like that's the thing. Like you're going to pay him, so why go through all this just to eventually do it anyways?
Right.
You can't even franchise him next year because guess who's going to get paid like $80 million next year? Deshaun Watson, because of how they loaded his contract. Aaron Rodgers is making 50. Pat Mahomes is making near 50 next year. So if you franchise him, he's going to get almost 50 right off the bat. So you're better off just giving him the 50 every year for 5 years and calling it a day.
They should, but they haven't, and that's the issue. And this is a team who, like personnel-wise, I will always give them the benefit of the doubt. So I don't know what is up with their contract, but this is the same thing they did with Joe Flacco. And guess what he did? He went out, won the Super Bowl. What do they think they're going to happen again? Joe Flacco bets on himself and they win the Super Bowl. Like they think, oh, Lamar's going to bet on himself and they're going to win the fucking Super Bowl. Like that's not going to fucking happen.
You're telling me he's not Baltimore's not one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the AFC with a legit.
Fuck no, I'm under because you're telling me a guy Rashad Bateman's your number 1 receiver on the team, and that's going to take you to the promise.
I mean, but I can see where Kris is coming from though. Like I'm not. It's not an impressive roster, and it has to be Lamar being healthy all the way through for this to work. Lamar misses even 2 games. Did I get?
Well, you know what? The crazy thing is,
here's the thing: Andrews, their tight end, is their number 1 catcher. So
that's it.
Matter.
But you know what? The crazy thing is, Tyler Huntley is a good backup. I don't even think Lamar being hurt would be like the be all end all for this season. To be honest,
but to me,
it would.
Lamar Jackson makes you a Super Bowl contender. Tyler Huntley keep shooting the hunt maybe for a playoff spot.
Well, that's what
last year.
Obviously, when we're saying that, like Lamar got hurt last year for like 3 games, like Tyler Huntley will keep you afloat for a sprained ankle, like
right.
Yeah, but to me, like
if I'm out, it wasn't 3 games, Kris.
Huh?
It wasn't 3 games. They lost their last 6 that he was out.
Yeah.
Like that's how impactful.
Granted, it was mostly by 3 points or less, some points or less.
Yeah.
But Lamar wins those games for you.
But to me, like Ronnie Stanley's getting up there in years. Kevin Zeitler's old. Tyler Lindenbaum, your first-round draft pick, already got hurt in camp, but he's already back in practice. Morgan Moses, I'm not really that big on that signing. Like their offensive line is meh. You have Mark Andrews and nobody else. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are coming back off of an ACL tear. You sign Mike Davis as the backup running back. I don't know. Like you sign like Marcus Peters is coming back off a torn ACL for last year. Granted, he tore his ACL in preseason, so like he's fully back. But Marlon Humphrey's getting up there, and he was getting banged up constantly. You signed Marcus Williams from New Orleans to a big-ass contract. Like, I don't know. Like, the continuity, like, they mix in a couple, like, enough pieces where, like, most of the roster's still there, but, like, Calais Campbell's, like, 1,000 years old right now. Like, and he's still a big piece of that defensive line. Like, he should not be as impactful a player as they need him to be.
Right.
So, like, for that reason, they're just shaky enough at their important positions at corner. They're shaky. Dude, Joe Burrow put up 1,000 yards passing against them last year. Granted,
they had nobody by that time.
Yeah, but guess what? Those same nobodies that were hurt last year back again to get hurt again.
Yeah,
like
they had nobody running an offense and nobody on defense. It's a lot easier to put up a ton of yards and get the ball constantly.
They have Lamar and the highest paid kicker in NFL history.
And the greatest kicker in NFL history, too.
Yeah.
But Mark Andrews is a monster. Don't get me wrong.
I agree.
He is a beast.
I wouldn't bet this. I wouldn't put this on a parlay. None of that. But I'm just saying, I'm just going on my gut. That's all I'm saying here. All right. Next team here, we have the Buffalo Bills. And by Kris, keep yours open also in case there's any changes because mine's about 2 weeks old. Buffalo Bills over-under is 11.5.
Yep.
Last season, 11-6. All right. I've been very bold about this for the last couple, days, especially, on people. This is my Super Bowl pick right here. This is my Super Bowl champion, in fact, this year. I'm going way over.
Going out on a limb.
This is right, but I think I have really high expectations with the Bills this year to not just go to the Super Bowl, but to win the whole thing. I think I think this is the year also we see the change. We see the change that Pat Mahomes was the best quarterback last couple of years. That changes this year. At the end of the year, we're saying Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league, and it's a significant, not significant, but it's a him by number 1 and not 1A, 1B. It's Josh Allen number 1. So over on the Bills. I'm big on the Bills. Super Bowl champion. Zack.
Yeah, I mean, I love the over on this. I think they probably had the best record in football this season because they easily have the weakest division. The weakest division, in my opinion. Because I think New England's taken a huge step back.
Okay, I say step back, but I don't know if it's
you got 2 defensive coaches trying to run an offense. Give me a break. They're going to do anything.
I think it's less about the weak division and more about how better they are in the 3-team division. I think mine would be good this year.
Here's
I think
the
New England's be frisky and Jacksonville be a little better.
Sets them up for having the best record.
Okay.
From their bye week on, they only played 2 teams that should finish over 500. Green Bay after their bye week, so they get that. They have a whole 2 weeks to prepare for Rodgers. Should be able to win that game. Then their only other game of any magnitude is against Cincinnati at the end of the season. That's it. They could go from November 6th on without losing.
Wow. Interesting. All right, Kris? He's going to do it again. He's going to do the under thing, isn't he?
Do you guys know? Here's a magic question for you guys. Do you know who the offensive coordinator is for the Bills this year? Don't look. Don't cheat.
It's not my guy. It's not Brian.
Do they have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs?
Who is the offensive coordinator for the team?
It better not be Joe Philbin.
It is fucking Ken Dorsey. Fucking
right.
Dorsey. A guy who's never done it before.
Wait, a guy who's played offense though, played quarterback. I'll take that over New England.
I mean,
But it
he went to
doesn't
UM
matter.
though. He went to UM though. So
you're talking a defensive head coach who's not, like Brian Daboll is a very important person in that team. So for everyone to think that Josh Allen's going to take the step up with a new offensive coordinator for the first time in his career, and that person never have been in that position before is quite bold. Like, that's why people don't realize, like, those little things, like having Mahomes having Andy Reid and
Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy his entire career, that's a big factor
No,
in his
I agree with
continued
him that.
success.
But as you know too, also good teams always lose pieces of the staff because it's what happens. You get in the spotlight. Bad teams want that piece now, and that piece is gone. But if you can still sustain.
But
I
you
agree
know
with
what's
saying though. Go ahead.
They're like one Stephon Diggs injury away from like really cratering that offense. Like,
really, you think so?
He is a vital piece to that offense. Like, more so than I would put any other position player, like a non-quarterback on any team. Like, because he opens the floor. Like, they don't have a stud running back. Like, Devin Singletary and like Dalvin Cook's younger brother is not like some like star-studded backfield. Like, their offensive line is good, but like Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder, and Gabriel Davis is not like lighting up the NFL without Stephon Diggs there. Like, he gets the safety help off the backfield. Like, he does a lot of things for the offense. So
let me say this too. Also, the Von Miller signing, it's great not just because of the on-field. Obviously, not as great as it used to be, but the leadership, the intangibles.
You think that?
Oh, yeah, I do think so. Yeah, I do think so.
I think that was like.
And he's just coming off a Super Bowl championship right now. On top of that,
maybe I'm just way up. I think that was an awful sign for the amount of money they gave him.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That could be like a team crippling cap hit for quite a while.
It could, but it also be the thing that puts him on the top of win the Super Bowl this year. So we'll see. So
if it helps Ed Oliver free him up a little more, then I'm all for it. But
are you going over or under?
I'm going to go over. They're going to win 12 games, so I'm not going any higher than 12 games. Like,
they're going 13-4, 14-3.
Here's the big thing though, is like, Kyer Elam getting just smoked left and right in the preseason and training camp is not helping anybody. And Tre'Davious White coming off a bad injury and like he might not be ready for the regular season. That's huge. Like, their secondary could be a little iffy, but it is true that they're better than everyone in that division and they'll probably clean up there. But I don't know if they're like going to like terrorize the NFL like you think. So I think losing Brian Daboll is a huge hit. I think it's a lot bigger.
It could be. You're right.
Anybody's talking about.
But this is why they play the game, buddy. All right, next team here we have the Carolina Panthers. Who their over is 6.5 wins. Last year they went 5-12. Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback. Exciting, huh? Not really.
I like it over Sam Darnold. You have to like him over Sam Darnold.
Of course. I'm going to go over just because weak conference, weaker division. You said something about the AFC East being the worst division in football. I disagree. I think NFC South is probably worse.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's a chance they could win 8 games. So if you could go high end of expectations at 8 wins, and that's the third team in that division, that's a pretty solid division.
They're a 7-10 team at best. Maybe 8-9.
And there we go. Both of those numbers get you the over, and I'm with you on the over. Mm-hmm. I like it. And I think they come out right out the gate beating Cleveland.
They did last year. They went out 3. Remember they started 3-0, then they fell apart. Yeah.
This is a team that really became susceptible to injuries though last year.
That's true. And McCaffrey also too, especially. So, all right, Kris.
It's an interesting one.
It is, isn't it?
It is interesting. The problem is that offensive line was ass, and they got Ike Ekwonu. Don't get me wrong. Probably the best offensive lineman in the draft. Absolute stud.
He's already late in the pre.
And a hometown kid at best. So love that. Position players, they got talent, especially on the outside. Dude, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrence Marshall, like with Rashad Higgins, who played with Baker in Cleveland, that's a pretty decent like wide receiver group. With Foreman and McCaffrey in the backfield and Chuba Hubbard, like they've got some good talent there. But that offensive line has to hold up because last year, dude, Sam Darnold's not that bad, and Cam was not that bad either. But that offensive line was atrocious.
Cam's not that bad.
No, it was not.
Are we talking like 2016 Cam? Because
No,
2021
that
Cam
offensive line was like Bengals bad. Like they were bad. So like, if they can't get that offensive line fixed, and like I said, they hopefully solved one piece of that puzzle. But man, they didn't make enough moves to free up that line. But we'll see. I mean, they've got talent.
They do.
Don't forget
Robbie Anderson. Yeah.
Here's a big thing. J.C. Horn missed their top 10 cornerback last year, missed the entire season, so they get him back. And they got C.J. Henderson for a steal from Jacksonville, who was an absolute stud corner. So they're going to have an interesting defense in a really bad division. Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that division. Like, with Tampa, New Orleans, like, is Tampa going to fall off at all? Probably not. They're the only other team with the 11.5 win projection. You have New Orleans, where people predict they're going to have the best defense in the league, but I think it'll be interesting. I got them under.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have them at 6, but they could be right there. They're fringe.
Yeah,
for sure.
That number right too. All right, next.
They're not going to make the playoffs by any means.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. All right, next team here, we have the Chicago Bears. Their overrun number is 6.5 as well. Last season, they went also 6 and 11. This is easy for me. Bears are probably a bottom 5 team right now. They're obviously doing the whole thing from the beginning. Just like the Giants, I say about once see Jones show progress. The only goal for the Bears right now this year is to see Justin Fields shows any progress of being a good quarterback in this league. Other than that, this is an under for me, Doug. This is under. Easy under for me. Zach.
This is the team that has a legit shot at the number 1 pick in the draft.
Oh, absolutely. Without question.
I mean, legit shot.
Bottom 5 team. I agree.
I couldn't even foresee on toss-up games them winning 4 games. I think their high is 3, their low is 1. Like, they're that bad to me. They have 0 offensive weapons. 0.
Wow.
There's not one guy you could go to and say, yeah, at least Fields has this receiver. At least he has a running back. At least he has he has nothing on offense. What they have done has basically been a waste of the draft pick because, and by next year they're going to say, he's no good. We need a new quarterback.
Can you pronounce the new coach's name? Uberflus, what his name is? Kris?
Yeah, Matt Eberflus.
Eberflus, yeah. What you got on this one?
That's another one of those things where the interesting thing is they got a defensive head coach, and their defense is this is one of the first years where you can really go into the season and say, man, their defense looks like it's going to be shit compared to like how good their defense has been for like the past 2 decades.
No Khalil Mack either. He's gone.
Like, and
Roquan isn't happy. So
the worst part is Roquan is your best defensive player, and he's going in so angry,
and he wants out.
So it's like, man, don't piss off your only good player on defense. Because like, who's left? Eddie Jackson, yeah, he's great. Robert Quinn's he's getting up there in age. Like,
yeah.
Like they have a lot of young players playing in the secondary, which like Aaron Rodgers is salivating, Kirk Cousins is salivating, like I should say Justin Jefferson is salivating at those guys. Like they're gonna
Jared Goff might be able to actually look good at quarterback. That's how bad they are on defense.
But Darnold, don't sleep on Darnell Mooney because he's a stud, but the rest of the help outside is pretty awful, and that offensive line is at best.
Yeah.
The Cole Kmet, stud tight end, but yeah. if Fields gets beat up, I'll feel sad for him because he deserves better. He's a good player, man, and I think he could be one of those guys that his career starts off so awful because of the situation he's in, like a David Carr situation where just there's no hope for his career based upon how his team started, like the way the roster is constructed for him. It's not no help for him. I think that could happen to him.
All right, here we go. Next team, Kris. It is your Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals. Last season.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm under on the Bears as well.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a smart move. Cincinnati Bengals over/under number is 9.5 wins. Last season went 10-7. Of course, you know the story. I went last season, went to the Super Bowl. Cinderella year. I'm going over. Joey Burrow, the man. It's easy for me. And the biggest problem that on paper anyway, the biggest problem they had last season, they seem to fixed up the offensive line. So I'll just keep that guy, keep Burrow upright. This team should continue to be, a threat to win a Super Bowl. I'm not sure they'll go back to the Super Bowl this year, but they're in the mix. So that's all. As a Bengals fan, that's all you want at this point. So over for Bengals for me. Zach, what you got?
Oh, I got the over too. If anyone wins Offensive Player of the Year this year, it's gonna be Jamar Chase.
Oh, I can see that.
I just see them feeding the ball so much to him to try and outdo Cooper Kupp from last year. I mean, he was second in targets last year. So why doesn't he have a shot at being the number one target?
Yeah, but I think he was third in touchdowns, fourth in receiving yards. Yeah.
He also had the most long touchdowns in the NFL last year. I think he had 7 of over 30 yards or something.
I think an important key is with their success, they retained the entire coaching staff.
Yes.
Which helps. Because most people will say it was fluky. I would say the regular season wasn't a fluke, but the playoff games, you could say were kind of fluke. Like, I mean,
if you win a game, Titans.
I mean, the Raiders were like within the red zone away from beating them at the end of the game.
9 sacks given up against Titans.
They shouldn't have won a Titans game. They were down 21-3 at halftime against the Chiefs. Like, that playoff run you can call fluky, but their regular season success was not fluky. They're definitely going to go over. You upgrade your right tackle, right guard, and center. All you have left now is to just shore up the left guard position, and that's it. The offensive line is now good. Your weapons don't change. The only thing I think that keeps Jamar Chase from ever winning that award is T. Higgins on the other side because he's just that damn good. And he and Tyler Boyd, like, they're just that good. I think you lose C.J. Uzomah, but you replace him with Hayden Hurst. Great. Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine still there. The defense, for the most part, completely untouched. And you go and you draft a bunch of defensive guys to start it off with anyways to shore up the back end of that defense. So, I mean, I hate that Jesse Bates is coming into the year disgruntled because he didn't get paid. And, of course, like, Derwin James went fuck up the whole safety market, so that doesn't help anything either. So,
Oh, well, that guaranteed Bates wasn't getting paid.
Well, when you put up the fact that your first and second round picks were both safety corner hybrids, like, that pretty much sealed the deal that they're going to let Jesse walk at that point. If he wasn't going to take a deal, they not only did they draft a safety in the first and second round, they drafted one in the 5th round too. So unless all 3 of them look like absolute slugs, they're probably going to let Jesse Bates walk at this point. It just sucks because you can see why, because he only had 1 pick in the regular season, but he had like 3 in the playoffs, including 1 against the first play of the game against Tennessee and 1 in the Super Bowl. So that's where it kind of makes up for it. But the fact that most of the rosters there, they really didn't lose anyone important. Like, and they only upgraded the offensive line even more. I don't see how you cannot go over. I think the Steelers take a step back. I think Baltimore takes another step back. The Browns, without Deshaun Watson for 11 games, take a step back.
We're getting there.
So I just think, like, how can you not go over with them?
Yeah. Speaking of the Browns, she went over. So speaking of the Browns, they're next on the list. Their over-under is 8.5 wins. It says 10 wins last year. That is not true. They got that wrong. That was the Bengals. They went 8-9 last year. Come on, Vegas Insider, get it right. Obviously, you mentioned Deshaun Watson is going to be missing the first 11 games of the year. That's a big deal, obviously. Because of that, I go under, obviously. I do think, though, I am curious, though. I mean, I like Jacoby Brissett. He's a good backup. Maybe they go 6-5, 6-6. Not 6-6. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
6-5. Hang on 500 for Watson. For Watson gets there.
No.
Any chance?
No.
It's a good roster. It's a good roster.
It's a great defensive roster, but with Brissett at quarterback, that offense is shit. All they can do is run the ball. I mean, that's no.
But could that be enough to hang on 500?
I mean, with that offensive line,
not with their schedule to start the season.
I'm going under myself. I am. Zach, you on there too? Under?
Oh, I'm way under.
Ooh, okay. You're gonna be taking me back this year. Okay.
No, I'm thinking 7 wins max.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Look, great defense, but it's Jacoby Brissett. I would literally be shocked if they were 3-7, 4-7 by the time that they reach their bye week.
Okay.
That defense is good.
That's the thing. The pieces around them are so good that I can see hanging on 500, and then maybe.
Well, you know what the thing is, though? They lost a lot of talent on the outside, and the only thing they brought in was Amari Cooper. So their wide receivers are actually their weakest. Essentially, with Jacoby Brissett, if they don't have the lead going into every game, they're not going to be able to come back.
Right.
So it's one of those things where they
control.
have to grind those games, grind the shit out of those games, and muck it up for them to have a chance. But I mean, that Jadeveon Clowney signing is interesting. Him opposite Myles Garrett. I mean, the secondary will be interesting because Greg Newsome played good last year. Denzel Ward's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to see if Greedy Williams steps it up. Between like John Johnson, Grant Delpit, like their back ends should be all right. Here's another interesting fact: rookie kicker. I think that's a bad thing going into it. You know, you want at least something like that could be another downfall for that team because when you're chugging along and you might not hit that red zone that often, you want a dependable kicker. So the fact that they have a rookie kicker is definitely going to hurt a little bit. So that'll be interesting. I really want to go. I really, really want to go over.
I can see 9-8. Yeah, I'm the same way. I can see 9-8. I can see it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I want to know the path you're on because Brissett had a great offense in Indy with a great offensive line. Couldn't do jack. He was in Miami. Pretty good offensive line. Pretty decent weapons on the outside. Couldn't do jack.
I would argue this roster is the best roster he's ever played on. Of the three teams.
You have to remember though, like Kevin Stefanski, like he coaches them up. That run game is just unreal with him as coach. Like some coaches just know how to get guys to block them up. Like that dude gets that run game going.
Right. Like I'm not saying they're going to go over, Zach. I agree with you what you're saying for the record.
This is one of the closest ones where it's like they can easily go over. Like if they even just stay afloat and Deshaun comes in and you gotta remember that's rust. That's a year and a half, like a year and 2/3 of rust on Deshaun Watson. But it's not like he missed him because he wasn't healthy. So
it doesn't matter. Playing time is playing time.
No, I agree.
You can't.
It'll be interesting to see how his rapport is with the players. I mean, he's never played with any of these dudes. Like, I don't know. It's.
I mean, I'll go under also too. I think also the biggest. Here's the big tiebreaker if you're on the fence. The environment of the AFC. The AFC is better this year. So right there is your big tiebreaker. The conference is better overall. So there you go. All right, so we all going to go under, of course. I'm assuming. All right, next team here. Here we go. The Dallas Cowboys. Over under is 10.5 wins. Last season went 12-5. Doesn't feel like they went 12-5 last year. Like you think that they had a worse year based on how everything played out in the last couple of weeks and in the playoffs. the Cowboys did not get better this offseason. They may in fact gotten worse. I mean, maybe the same as last year, but I think the NFC East is gonna be a lot more competitive than they was last year. I think they're still a playoff team. I still like Dak. I think Dak's a solid quarterback still. Their defense is pretty solid last year, but I think they take a little step back this year. I'm gonna go under, slight under. I think they win 11 wins this year. It's a ceiling. Zach.
What's the number again?
12. Sorry,
10 and a
12.
half.
10 and a half. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. I fucked up. I read the wrong thing. I'm going slide over. Slide over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over because they have too many easy games. When you get to play the AFC South and the NFC North, you've got 4 wins easy, maybe 5. And then you figure the division, Tampa could be a toss-up game even.
That's early too.
You have to, like, at their worst, 10. And they could pull out 12 wins. They could pull out 12 for the season.
Like last year.
Yeah, so I've got the over.
Yeah. Kris.
Under.
I don't see him being worse than 10
Dude,
and
no
7,
team had like as much talent influx and outflux of their team like Dallas did. Like they lost so many dudes, all to cap casualties, a lot of talent, and you still have like Michael Gallup coming off like a bad injury. Like it's a make or break year for Zeke for sure at this point. But that offensive line is definitely not what it used to be. Those days are done. Like Tyron Smith, can't
he's
stay
done.
healthy.
You can't even expect 10 games from him anymore.
Tyler Smith, the guy they drafted in the first round, hella reach. Yeah. Tyler Badash, yeah. Zach Martin, fucking stud. You know this dude, Zach Martin, has more Pro Bowls and holding penalties in his career.
Yeah,
Are you serious? That's amazing.
So,
That's an amazing number.
He didn't have a single holding penalty at right guard last year, the entire season.
The last 2 seasons.
Yeah. 7 Pro Bowls, 6 holding penalties entire career. And then your team is led by who? Black Kirk Cousins. Like, I don't see it. Like, you're not selling me on 11 wins. No way.
But they have Defensive Player of the Year this year coming up probably, and Micah Parsons. I mean, come on, baby LT. No offense, Ernest, but he's pretty damn special.
He's pretty good, yes.
But you know what the key is? They did sign Anthony Barr, stud veteran linebacker, to help guide the rest of that team. But man, when your defensive captain's like Leighton Vander Esch and he can't stay healthy, and like you see undrafted free agents, you have undrafted free agents smoking fucking Trayvon Diggs. Like, oh my god, like some of those camp highlights are brutal. Like that dude gave up the most yards in the NFL, but somehow locked into 10 picks. Like
he gambles. He loves to gamble. And that's why he gives up so many yards, is because he's always trying to undercut the wide receiver. And so eventually you throw over them, and yeah, they're going to be touchdowns.
They just have too much talent turnover on the roster with such a shaky coaching staff. I'm sorry, but McCarthy, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn trifecta is not the move for me. Like they're not. That is what's like. They're all on the hot seat. Well, except Quinn.
I really think determines Dallas will be DeMarcus Lawrence. If he can finally turn it around, because his sack numbers have gone down for like the last 4 years. If he could maybe pull out 8-9 sacks to go along with Parsons, then they're going to have a pretty stout defense.
All right. Next team here, we have the Denver Broncos. Over-under is 10.5 wins. Last season went 7-10, of course. Their offseason was highlighted by the trade of my GOAT. Well, not really the GOAT, but my GOAT, Russell Wilson. Oh, boy, this is tough. Look at the schedule. It's easy on the front end, rough on the back end. Ooh, it's bad on the back end.
But that easy front end
could actually help a lot. But that back end is tough, man. And in that division too, where every game is a must win, Man, I hope I'm wrong here, but I feel under here. I feel a slight under. I think they'll win 10 games, but I don't know with that division and whatnot. I just don't know if I can see more than 10 wins this year for this team. So I'm gonna take a slight under. Zach.
I'm with you. Just the slightest of unders.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where 10 wins might be fourth place. And
Oh, in
that's
division, absolutely.
it is so scary. Because again, first half that season, you can either make or break your entire season. New coach, new quarterback, discovering a game time rhythm with wide receivers. That'll be huge. But they probably got the best running back in the draft, so that makes a difference.
Go ahead, Kris.
I think the only question mark on the team is the coaching staff, because Nathaniel Hackett comes in from Green Bay, and he brings in two unknowns at OC and DC. Like, you have some dudes that come in and they bring veteran coordinators, and he brings just dudes that have never done it before. That is the one thing that's kind of scary, because if you don't have that gelling with your brand new star quarterback, boy, that can turn over so fast. But I'm going to go under just for that matter. But I do like the roster setup. I think you just have a lot of injury concerns there, especially on defense. I mean,
And also adjusting the first couple weeks. You might lose a game you shouldn't lose early on.
but
Adjusting.
I mean, if you sign Randy Gregory and him and Chubb stay healthy and they're just terrorizing quarterbacks, and then you have a lot of dudes in that secondary to get their hands on the ball, like Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson, Pat Surtain, like Ronald Darby, like that. If Gregory and Chubb can become your Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware,
that's a problem.
that could change the game, because Russell will get you a lead and be able to hold on to it because Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon can run the ball. But it'll be interesting. I think only because the entire coaching staff is a question mark. I can't put them at 11 wins,
Right.
but I will put them as high as possible. And that division's insane.
Yeah, 10 wins is same thing. All right, next team here, Detroit Lions. Over under 6.5 wins. Last year went 3-14. This is my frisky team of the year, guys. They're going over. They're going over. I see 7 wins. I see 7, maybe if you get lucky, 8 wins. And I said this early in the pod. Because the NFC is so top heavy, there's a lot of room for teams like this to steal some wins here and there. They could beat Chicago twice. I can see a split against Green Bay this year and a split against Minnesota this year. That's 4 wins right there.
I can't see that. I won't go that far, but good Lord, they got some babies, easy walkovers. I'm right there with you. And I honestly think 8 wins, they could easily pull out 8 wins, maybe even go 500.
I mean, last
or
year
over 500.
And last year, don't forget, last year they were 3-14, yes, but a lot of games they should have won. I mean, at least 5 games could have won easily.
I think they had the most games that they lost where it was within 1 score.
Yep.
I think it was 7 total on the season.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Look, they're getting the Bears twice, the Jags, Seahawks. No offense, the Giants.
Oh yeah, no offense, none taken, buddy.
And
that's a 7-8 win team there, in my opinion.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Dan Campbell takes over, like to see his progression as a head coach, to see if they continue losing these games because of him, or if the talent has gotten better. I tell you, on the outside though, like between DJ Chark and if Amon Rob St. Brown like takes the next step as a legit number 1 receiver, then they can make some noise for sure. The offensive line really stout. You know, Taylor Decker is healthy this year. Frank Ragnall's absolute stud at center.
They have Pro Bowlers on their offensive line.
And plus Penei Sewell, you think he's going to take the next step. TJ Hawkinson's got to stay healthy, but
yeah,
it's tough for me to ever put faith in Jared Goff. And their defense is still a little shaky. You got to hope that like Aiden Hutchinson really is a stud, but
just do it. Make a clean sweep here. Over.
Think about their corner. They lost their best corner last year for the entire season, so now you have them coming back. They could legit have 2 shutdown corners going into this.
Jeff Okudah's never like really done it though in the pros. Like I don't know if I can say that. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under.
Okay, that's fine.
They're 6 wins. They're gonna win 6 wins.
All right, next team here we have the Green Bay Packers. Over under is 10.5 wins. Last season went 13-4. When, of course, you had a sorry end last year. Lost in the second round. Well, in the divisional round of playoffs against the Niners. Another disappointing ending to another season for Aaron Rodgers, who did extend though this offseason. So, I mean, I'm gonna go over. Obviously, 10.5 is the right number. I do think I could see this team stepping back a little bit from last year, regular season wise. But even so, I guess the bottom was probably 11 wins. 10 wins rather. No, 11 wins. Sorry, 11 wins. So yeah, I just don't see his team losing more than 6 games this year. Yeah, that's about it. Zach.
I don't even think it's going to be because of Aaron Rodgers. It's just such an easy schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so easy. You're getting to play the AFC East. So you're going to have Miami, the Jets, and New England, who I think are all going to be easy passes for Green Bay.
I might go 2-2 in that one, to be honest with you, bud.
You're getting Chicago twice. Even if you split with Detroit and Minnesota, you have to take the over.
Yeah. And they got a top defense in the league. Not for nothing.
I got to say, this was probably the worst line I saw Vegas set at 10.5.
I would put it at 11. But I think maybe losing for Devontae Adams and the receiver core maybe a little questionable. Maybe that's why it's a little low, I guess.
I think that's
where the run game comes in. Just like Cleveland in their run game and defense against a bunch of passes should get them to 10 wins. So then on Aaron Rodgers.
Kris, what are you saying now? What are you saying, Kris?
Their defense is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And I think the Devontae Adams thing's a little – when you have the reigning MVP, like, you don't worry.
He'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out. Like, Sammy Watkins is no scrub. So, I think you'd be shocked to see how good he plays with a real true stud quarterback like that. So
right.
He played with Patrick Mahomes. He's had a quarterback. The dude can't stay healthy. He runs down the football field 20 yards and he's out for 3 games.
I like the direction team's going. They too, granted, they did lose Nathaniel Hackett, so we'll see. But the coordinator they lost is made up for because the head coach is an offensive guy. So it's a big difference when an offensive coach loses coordinator. Doesn't matter. When Kyle Shanahan loses a guy, no one gives a shit. But when you're a defensive coach and you lose an offensive guy like Sean McDermott, it's a big issue. But like Matt LaFleur losing the offensive coordinator is not a big deal because he'll just train the next guy to do the same thing. So I don't think that'll be that big of a deal. And you got Robert Tonyan missed like the entire year last year, the tight end, so we get him back to help out a little bit. I think they'll be just fine. Give me the over.
Yeah.
Defense.
Right, I agree with you 100%. Next team here, we have the Houston Texans. Over-under is 4.5 wins. Last season went 4-13. This is pretty easy. Under. If the Falcons are the worst team in football this year, then the Texans are in line to be worst team in football. So under, easy. Next, Zach.
What's it at? 4.5.
4.5.
Oh man, I think they're just barely gonna come under.
Yeah. Well, fine, but in that conference too, especially easy.
Look, they've got Jacksonville. They could split with Jacksonville. They get the Giants at home, so they possibly could pull that. And they get Chicago, who, again, I think is the worst team in football.
That's 3 wins.
Yeah. And then maybe you could squeak something else out for a 4th win. Because going by last year, Davis Mills was the best quarterback drafted in the entire draft class.
He played well in the year, too. Nothing. Played well in the year, but under, I'm with you. Kris?
The only roster-wise, I will put them over.
Mm-hmm.
But because they brought in who to be the head coach, I'm taking the under.
Lovie Smith, right? Is Lovie?
I'm sorry. Don't give me Lovie Smith and fucking Pep Hamilton. And Lovie Smith didn't even hire DC. He's going to be the DC himself as well.
handle things himself.
Like, to me, it's like that's why I'm going under.
Okay.
Roster wise, I do like Davis Mills with Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins, and like, do they still have Laramie Tunsil? The offensive line's not god awful. Like, and Damian Pierce looks like a stud running back that they drafted, but they have a lot of youth starting in the secondary, which I think is a little.
Maybe the fourth one's against Tennessee. I'm not big on Tennessee this year.
Here, stop.
I'm not big on Tennessee this year.
That's only if they like change quarterbacks.
Okay.
Like, to me, at the end of the day, the coaching staff's gonna let them down. Like, I'm not big on the Lovie Smith Pep Hamilton combo.
I agree with you.
It feels a little dated. I'm with you on that one. All right, next team here we have the Indianapolis Colts staying in the division, AFC South. Their over/under number is 9.5. Last season went 9-8. Of course, they signed Matt Ryan this year after trading away Carson Wentz. Oh no, actually, cutting Carson was a cut, right? They cut Carson Wentz, actually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did not. All right, cut him.
They traded him.
No, they traded.
They did trade him.
Yeah, and they traded for Matt Ryan. Yeah.
Anyway,
they got like a 5th or a 6th rounder for him.
Right.
Like,
anyway,
he barely had to give up anything.
I'm pretty positive on this Matt Ryan signing. I really am. I think the Colts are going to do pretty good this year. I think they're going to win the division this year. In fact, I'm going to go over 9.5. Zach.
Oh, I'm with you on the over, and they'll probably win the division, and it has nothing to do with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
It literally comes down to their running back, their offensive line. So you could put any starting quarterback, any of the top 32 quarterbacks back there, and they will at least compete for 8-9 wins. So, yeah, give me Indy in the over. They're going to go 5-1 in the division.
Okay. Kris?
You know what?
Oh, no.
Well, no. They're going to go over, but don't say they're going to go 5-1. Motherfuckers haven't beaten Jacksonville in like 5 years. So don't give me that. Like,
yeah.
They couldn't do it to get in the fucking playoffs. Like, that still to this day. Oh my god. Right. You get fucking smoked.
They're a 10-7. Their ceiling is 11 wins. That's their absolute ceiling for me.
You win and you're in, and you can't fucking beat Jacksonville. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I see why Jim Irsay was so pissed, but he panicked, dude. I'm sorry that Jerry Jones want to be panicked.
But here's the real question: why does all the hate come at Carson Wentz and not the coach when you had the best running back in football last year because Derrick Henry went down? So when you had Jonathan Taylor eating up yardage like crazy, and you can't even think, maybe I could hand off the ball against Jacksonville.
I don't know.
But to me, I mean, the outside talent will be there. Michael Pittman Jr. takes the next step up. That's going to be a good – it's their defense. Do you get Yannick Ngakoue? You get Stephon Gilmore. Like, they got the proper veteran talent that's hungry for that Super Bowl. They didn't just get, like, veteran. They got, like, the guys necessary that want to win, that are ready. And don't forget, don't call him Darius Leonard anymore. He's Shaq Leonard this year for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
so
I had to reread the depth chart. I was like, where the fuck is Leonard? Who is this Shaquille guy? Took me forever to remember. He's like, no, you've been calling me by the wrong name.
Right.
Way to go, Giancarlo Stanton.
All right. All right. Next team here, rather, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Overall number is 6.5 wins. Last year went 3-14. Of course, disaster. Urban Meyer experiment went to shit. He got fired like week 14, week 15. They got now what's his face? Doug Peterson's head coach, Super Bowl winning coach, by the way, for the record. I'm gonna go slightly under, but I think like the Lions in the NFC, they're gonna be the frisky AFC team this year. You'll see some improvement. The only reason why I'll go under is that environment in the AFC again, too damn good. But I can see this team winning 6 games this year and being a frisky 6-win team. Zach.
I don't see him winning 6 games if you combine last year's record. I'm sorry. You're talking about a quarterback who was considered the second coming and could only throw 12 fucking touchdowns
Sunshine.
All season could only manage 12 touchdowns.
Again, I'm crediting that Urban Meyer fiasco for being this. That's so bad. So bad.
Look, he's not on the field. He's not reading the defense in real time to find an open receiver. Like, dude just can't play as great as everyone thought he was.
Oh, wait, so you're off the bandwagon? The Trevor bandwagon? You're off that
I
now?
was never on the bandwagon. I told you, I thought Justin Fields should have been drafted by Urban Meyer.
You did say that in the podcast. You did say that. That is true. I can vouch for that.
To begin with, that was the wrong quarterback for that coach, and I don't think he wanted to be there after that. Getting Trevor Lawrence.
Kris, go ahead. Jaguars.
I think Zack's still salty that they signed Brandon Scherff away from the Commanders.
The Commodores?
I mean, they upgraded talent, man.
It just proved he was a commie, okay?
They signed Cam Robinson to a big deal. They get Brandon Scherff. They get John. You get Travis Etienne back from, so it's another first-round pick you got. Dude, I think they hit great in the draft, getting Trayvon Walker and Devin Lloyd. Like, I don't know, man. I think Doug Peterson rights the ship. And another one, Olucon from Atlanta. You take their best. Call me crazy. I go, they're going to win 7 games here.
Oh, okay.
They're going to go over.
I would take a side bet on that.
I think Houston's just bad enough where they won't split with the Jags. Like,
that's the thing. I think at best they split. I could see Houston winning both those games before I could see the Jags winning.
And plus, don't forget about the real Josh Allen, Jacksonville Josh Allen stud.
All right. Next team here. Here we go. The Kansas City Chiefs overall number is 10.5 wins. Last season went 12-5, lost an AFC title game against Kris's Bengals. I think the Chiefs take a step back this year. They lost Tyreek Hill. You saw some of the little bit of the issues last year come out a little bit throughout the year. They managed with 12 games anyway. This is a big year for Mahomes. It's a big year for him. So I think take a little step back. I think the big question is how big a step they take. I'm still gonna go over on this one, but this could get really interesting here. I can see him going 11-6 here. I can see, maybe 10-7 because the division being much better this year and the conference better this year.
Isn't it 10.5?
I went over.
Yeah. So.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. No. I thought yeah. So I think 11-6 this year. Yeah, 11-6.
I'm just saying 10-7 gets you the under.
Right. You're right. I apologize, but sorry, my wife's texting me at the same time that we're doing this. I know. I just think things may be a little bit. We'll see how this Tyreek Hill. I think that's a major loss for the Chiefs. A major loss, and I'm really curious to see how Mahomes adjusts to that. Zach, go ahead.
I think Tyreek Hill made up for all of the garbage on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like he changed the entire game for Kansas City. To lose him, you couldn't replace him. There's nobody getting drafted, nobody you could trade for in the NFL today to replace Tyreek Hill. That's how special that guy is. All right. 11 wins is if everything went right. So I'm taking the under. I don't like the running back. I think all he is a freaking little scat back who can catch a 5-yard pass. So your run game's going to be hurting. Your offensive line has struggled no matter what you've done. Other than a left tackle, you got nothing.
Oh, Creed Humphrey's a beast.
On defense, you don't scare me at all. You're giving up 30 points and winning 31-30. So I think 9 or 10 wins at best.
All right, Kris.
This one is a really tough one. But I will say this. The one thing you got going, you have the best QB in the league with the same coaching staff year in and year in and year. Reed Bieniemy Spagnuolo. Ernest, Steve Spagnuolo.
Very well.
And
very thankful for him.
Frank Clark came in in shape this year, looking like a stud again. Chris Jones, absolute monster. The secondary is interesting. They let the Honey Badger walk, and you just bring in Justin Reed to replace him. They're hoping that Trent McDuffie, the first on picks, and step up and be a starting corner. It'll be interesting to see how the defense holds up. But I think they have enough playmakers up front to make enough plays to win the games. I will always take a stud quarterback and a stud coaching staff to win those games. So give me the over. It ain't going to be some dominating, like leading the AFC #1 seed like they have been, but they're going to win at least 11 games.
Yeah, no offense to you, Ernest, but me and Kris could get past their corners right now. That's how bad their backfield is.
You could be right. Our next team here, we have this is the team that's probably for me, we said before this podcast we started, the most difficult team to probably figure out. That is the LA Chargers. The overall number is 10.5 wins. Last year went 9-8. I love the roster. I love the quarterback. The defense is improved on paper. Khalil Mack, you name it. I don't trust that coach, man. I don't trust Brandon Staley. Because of that alone, I'm going under. 10-7. He'll cost them games again this year. And I think also, depending on how they start this year, that's an early candidate for hot seat coach this year.
All right. I'll give you something real easy.
Okay.
The only tough games they have are in the division on the road. I'm going to read off some teams they get to play.
So 3-3 at best.
Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland, Seattle, Atlanta, Miami. They have one of the easiest schedules this season.
Oh, wow.
And for toss-ups, you're getting San Fran and Arizona. All right. This is if anyone's going to compete with Buffalo for best record in the AFC, it's going to be the Chargers. They're the division winner, by the way.
Obviously going over.
Over all day long.
Okay. Remember, this is the team you picked last year to do all this, and they didn't do all this, so you know. Kris, go ahead.
Under. Like, I don't know why everyone's so hyped on this team.
Oh, it's a good roster. It's the coach I don't trust. That's the big thing for me.
Is it though? Is the roster that good? Is it though?
Darwin. Okay, they got probably one of the 2 or 3 best corners in the league that they just signed in free agency.
But see, you know what's crazy? Bill Belichick never lets young studs walk. There has to be a reason he let J.C. Jackson walk. There has to.
He doesn't let young. How about Chandler Jones? He got rid of him 4 years before he was even at his prime. Like, we keep forgetting
they traded him. That was different.
I mean, we're not saying
Belichick's made a lot of mistakes.
I mean, we're not saying Belichick that's 1,000 either. But
no, Bill Belichick traded Chandler Jones for a first-round pick. That's very different.
That's letting him go. You're getting rid of the guy. You're kicking him out the door.
They let J.C. Jackson walk for free. They didn't even franchise him. They just let him walk. He never does that. I don't trust a corner that Bill Belichick almost led the league in interceptions last year.
Yeah. The year before, he led the league in interceptions.
Something fishy about it. Between him and Asante Samuel Jr. and Derwin's got to stay healthy. Keenan Allen's got to stay healthy. Austin Eckler's got to stay healthy. Like, there's a lot of I don't know. For whatever reason, there's just something about the team that I just feel like if the game's closer, they're going to lose every single time. And it could be that no-name coaching staff. I mean, between Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi, and Ronaldo.
If this team by the middle of the year is under 500, he's done as head coach. Prediction there. Letting you right now.
There's something about the team that I can't put my finger on it, but
I get it. I get it. But to me, he's a coach.
Ernest, real quick, how many games did they win last year?
9.
9. And that's his first year as being a head coach ever. So now he's got a full year under his belt. He's got 2 more defensive playmakers. And you have another year of Herbert developing. You're boggling my mind, Kris. I don't understand.
Zack, you're telling me a guy who's a win and in game against your division rival, who your wide receiver just killed someone in DUI manslaughter. The whole team, their head coach gets fired. Like the team literally is in as much turmoil as possible, and you can't even beat that team to get into the playoffs. There's something wrong with the team. There's just something wrong. I can't put my finger.
The Colts couldn't beat Jacksonville either. So, sometimes a guy can't win in his first chance at a big game. All right? It just happens.
The Colts did that. They have a new head coach. Don't forget that.
The Colts kept their head coach from last year.
Oh, they lost their.
Yeah, they lost to the Jags because they couldn't even figure out to run the football.
So
why we hate on this coach? He won 9 his first time ever. Now he's got even more help.
They have good depth. Don't get me wrong, but
they have great depth.
I just something about I just can't put my finger on it.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it. All right, next team here we have the champs, the LA Rams. Overall number is 10.5. Last season won 12-5. Of course, as I said, they won the Super Bowl championship last year with Matthew Stafford as at quarterback. I'm gonna go over for one simple reason. Is just the NFC is just easy. It's on paper, it's easy. It's top heavy. Now, are they back in the Super Bowl this year? Possibly. Zack?
Oh, I'm taking the over. They upgraded at wide receiver.
That's true. Was it Allen Robinson?
Yeah. Looks like a stud.
Oh, God. I mean, Stafford.
The only thing standing in their way is the fact they probably have the toughest road schedule in football. Because they also have to go on the road to Green Bay and Kansas City. So
it could be Kansas City. I don't know if it'd be Green Bay, but
yeah. But you're also factoring in some. San Fran's going to be pretty good. Arizona might be good.
We'll see. San Fran, we'll see.
But to me, that's the toughest road schedule in football this year for them.
Easy over for you, Kris.
They have Bobby Wagner now too.
That's right. Motivated Bobby Wagner too.
You have
didn't expect Bobby Wagner from Seattle.
Super happy Aaron Donald. Just imagine how much better he's going to be.
He's richer, has a ring.
That's a dude that'll never stop being hungry. He'll be hungry every single year of his career. Give me the over. Now, the one caveat is this lingering elbow they claim is only pain management and not like he's going to tear his UCL and need Tommy John surgery. But when you're telling me a quarterback has lingering elbow pain every single game,
that's a little
that's suspect.
Concerning.
Does anyone know who the backup is by chance?
John Walford is not the dude, and I'm like, yes, he is the one.
This is gonna sound crazy. I'd trade for Gardner Minshew.
Like
that's not terrible.
So
he's a legit backup, weak starter in the league. So.
That's the one thing, but give me the reigning champs as well. Fucking reigning champs. Give me them over.
I know that burned you up a little, Kris. I apologize. All right, next team here we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Their overall number is 8.5 wins. Last season they went 10-7, made the playoffs. Lost to your Bengals. This is weird because I actually had the number. God.
You sure that's only 8.5, Kris?
It's 8.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Give me over. I think this is the team of any AFC team. I think that could fuck shit up. That we're not expecting to fuck shit up. Like obviously, we know Raiders will be decent. We just know how good they'll be and whatever. They have the biggest ceiling and the lowest floor. I feel like the Raiders are the team that can fuck shit up. I think this team could win as much as 13 games and have a disappointing 6-win campaign. But I'm gonna go over on the Raiders. I have a funny feeling about the Raiders this year. think Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr's also your sneaky value MVP candidate for value. Kris, Zach, go ahead, Zach.
I'm with you on the over. Even their floor to me is an over. I think they could. I think the floor is 10. I think they max out at 12. But either way, that's an over.
Okay.
The only thing that struggles for me is their defense.
And you got Chandler Jones.
That doesn't cure all
Crosby.
the troubles, but
No, right, but it's a start.
I think the offense will make up for anything they give up on points. So
I love Derek Carr too, especially from Kris, go ahead.
Loving the over. Let me tell you something. As much as I hate Lamar Jackson on a contract year, give me Josh Jacobs on a contract year.
Ooh.
Give me a fucking hungry ass running back that just got his 5th year option declined. Give me that guy.
Okay.
I'm taking that guy for sure.
sorry, guys.
With a
okay.
Devontae Adams that left the same money on the table in Green Bay to play with his college teammate in Vegas. Give me a fresh new start in the coaching staff, and they've got the stink off of last year's roster with all the shit that went on last year that they still went to the playoffs with.
Yeah.
Give me the new. They are like the brand new shiny car now coming out of the.
And who's their coach now?
Josh McDaniels.
He's hungry too. Changing narrative about himself.
Look, I think Adams thought there was a better chance of getting to a Super Bowl with Derek Carr, who he doesn't even know whether or not he'll choke in the playoffs, versus the guy who does choke in the playoffs.
I see big things for everyone. I just hope Alex.
Big things. I think I'm actually Kris. I'm kind of picking win the division.
No,
Kinda.
They're number 2.
I mean, I'm not clear cutting that yet, but I'm just saying I'm kind of like that's the team looking at like that
It's
team
awesome.
can win the
It's
division.
like KC is clear to define number 1.
No,
How does defines you think though? I gotta see it. I gotta
give
see
me
it.
the continuity of
there is no defining one
guys, the most important guys on the team. Continuity's there.
There is no defining one that division.
But I think going into the season, I think you say that. But then
I can't.
Well, okay, you could go 1A KC with B and C being the Raiders, and I would go
Chargers.
I would
Broncos,
go with the Broncos and with the Chargers being
oh
clear.
my God, Kris!
Yeah.
Look, Kansas City is 2B. Like it's the Chargers and Raiders. You guys are way discounting how important Tyreek Hill was to that offense.
I agree.
I think even Travis Kelce will take it back.
I already said that. I already said that, buddy. It's how big a step back it is. We're gonna see.
But when you look at those offensive weapons now for the Raiders, yeah, they could legit compete for the division title, but they got no defense, especially on the backside.
Well, we'll see. All right, next team here, the home team here, Miami Dolphins. Over/under wins total is 8.5 wins. Last season went 9-8. Of course, new head coach Mike Macdonald after they fired Brian Flores. This is Tua bust year for me. He has weapons, speed across the board. So if Tua fails this year, it's on Tua. Bottom line. I'm going over. I think this could be the number 7, the wild card team, number 7 spot this year in the AFC. You guys not? I don't know. Zach's not big on the Dolphins this year. I don't think. I'm fairly big on the Dolphins this year. I think they're 10-17. Honestly, Zach, go ahead.
I'm not big on the Dolphins. Have you heard me just talking about Tyreek Hill? How important he is.
You call Miami an easy win for the teams though.
He's the game changer of the NFL. All right. You only have to throw a 5-yard slant, and he will take it 80 yards. No one can touch his speed. Nope. Not even the kid Allen for the Eagles. I just don't believe anyone even comes close to Tyreek Hill's speed. So yeah, you're right. I'm taking the over, and I feel like their worst case scenario is 9 wins. So there's no way they don't go over unless Tua fails. And if Tua fails, that's it. He's done.
Yeah.
Wait, Ernest, would you go? Did you go over?
Oh, I went over. Absolutely went over. They're probably a playoff team, in my opinion, too.
I agree with it.
Chris.
Let's make it. Give me the over.
Oh, wow. Okay. All fans rejoice.
The direction of it getting an offensive coordinator, like offensive coach. Granted, I wish he would have at least had one vet coordinator with him. I hate when these dudes come in like fresh and just poach dudes with them and bring their dudes. Like, just give me one guy that is like a proven commodity, and I would have been a little more, have faith. But dude, give me Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill together with Cedric Wilson. Don't forget.
Don't forget Gillespie.
But the biggest signing
or Gillick, whatever,
from the Saints. Don't forget Teron Armstead from the Saints. They lock down the left tackle position. Move Austin Jackson from being a meh tackle. Boom to the right side. A lot better now. The offensive line should help. Now, granted, they signed Connor Williams from the Cowboys, and that dude's like the most penalized player in the league. So I think they're going to start him at center, so that should help a lot with that. But they literally revamped the entire backfield. You have Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, and Sony Michel, still along with Myles Gaskin and Ahmed. So they're going to run the ball. Like, he came from San Fran. Them dudes run the ball. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's a run heavy. And by running the ball that much, you're taking the pressure off of Tua. So when he does go back and rear back to hit Tyreek, it's going to be off play action. And he don't need that the safety getting sucked in for him to blow past them. But I think Tua, they claim year 3 now on a lower body injury is when he's really going to get that arm, like that strength back to throw deep. The dude was throwing it deep all the time at Alabama. I have faith that he's going to find those dudes. You're going to see Jalen Waddle catching a lot more deep balls, not just short passes this year. Like, I have faith in the team.
All right, next team here. Interesting team here. Minnesota Vikings overall number is 9.5. Last year went 8-9. This is one of the teams that in the NFC can screw things up. Good roster. A lot of people are hard on Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is still a top 16 quarterback in the league. I'm gonna go over. I think that they have a bounce back years. As long as Dalvin Cook's healthy, of course. I see this team no worse than 10 wins. So I'm gonna go over this year. Now, will they win the North? That's another conversation. We'll see. But I think they'll be in that playoff mix for a wild card, at the very least. Zach, go ahead.
I think this is the first time in a few years that there's a legit competition for who wins the division title. Look, you're giving hear me out. Cousins put up top 5 numbers in touchdowns, top 5 numbers in yards passed. You have one of the best young wide receivers in all of football, a top 3 running back in football, and now you have an offensive coach. Like, can you imagine what that offense is going to look like?
And Kirk Cousins is capable.
Yeah.
But is he?
Yeah. Why? Dude,
you're getting a guy out of the Shanahan's offensive tree to go to a quarterback who once played under Shanahan. So I feel like everything is there for them to possibly win the division. I'm taking the over.
I don't think Kirk Cousins is an elite quarterback, but I think Kirk Cousins is definitely capable of doing a good job. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback. Let's be clear there. I don't think he's worth the money he's being paid.
If
but
you look at
doing his job, he's fine.
He's definitely worth it.
I think it's like 7 years in a row he's thrown for 4,000 yards.
Yeah, he came close to 5,000 this year. Only had 7 interceptions last season.
Yeah, I mean,
he
I don't know.
He barely turned it over.
A lot of the Kirk Cousins hate though is because of the contracts. That's it.
Oh, and one last key.
Go ahead.
And this is the most important thing. They only have 2 primetime games. 2 all season. 2.
Against who though? Against who?
Oh shit!
No, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
One
Chris,
of them's against Green Bay. Hold on, I wrote it down because I thought it was important.
If it's at
One's
home,
against Green Bay, and I'm pretty sure the other was against Philadelphia. And then there's one
winnable games. They pick Green Bay well every year, so winnable games.
Yeah.
I'm
Go ahead,
going
Chris.
Under.
Oh,
I just have no faith in them. The offensive line still meh. Defense, a lot of their key positions are. Dude, Harrison Smith's been in the league for a long time now. This is about when safeties start taking that one step back. Patrick Peterson, few steps back.
Oh, come on. Ain't that old yet.
There's just a lot of dudes, like all their pass rushers, like Zadarius Smith, Daniel Hunter, like they're starting to get a little bit all the positions. They're a glitzy glancy because Adam Thielen's a stud and Justin Jefferson's amazing, and Dalvin Cook's awesome. So the skill positions are there.
right.
They are fantasy football team. That's what they are. They are a fantasy football team. But in reality, don't give me a brand new coaching staff with that roster. And if they had a veteran coaching staff, I would say, sure. Their team's been around their roster's been around long enough for them to gel. But at this point, they just have a bunch of vets that you can see they've lost. They've lost the tinkle in their eye. The hunger's not there anymore. They're just there to cash their paycheck type of vets. That's what they have now.
All right. Next team here, the New England Patriots. The over-under number is 8.5 wins. Last season went 10-7. Yeah, I'm gonna go under. I think this is. I don't know if these Mac Jones rumors about him not doing well in camp and preseason, if it's true, if it's all Belichick swerving here, but I don't like what I see right now. This the talk coming out of the Patriots. I don't like what I see here. And maybe they'll be good this year. Maybe we'll be good, but I don't know. You combine that with the AFC being better, Miami's better, Jets are going to be improved a little bit this year. I don't know. The Patriots, they're not going to be a terrible team. They'll be around 500, but I see an 8-win, 8-9, maybe even 7-10 team here. A humbling year for Patriots fans after the Brady era. So I'm going to go under here, Zach.
Oh, I'm going 7-10.
Okay.
And 7-10 is max.
Oh, wow.
But after the Jets, their only real shots at wins are Detroit and Chicago. Everything else is a struggle. Right? And I'm but you're putting Mac Jones in his second season with two defensive guys now calling plays, and they haven't decided who's going to call the play yet because they've been trying to figure out which defensive guy can call an offensive game better. Not to mention, I'm sorry, the most overrated GM of the last 10 years. He hasn't made a quality trade. He hasn't made a quality draft pick in the last 10 years.
And I think that Josh Daniels losing to him is going to be a big deal.
Oh, I think it's huge.
Go ahead, Kris.
This is going to be the year that either Bill Belichick starts to really lose his legacy or he builds it back up. He's either going to be a fucking genius this year or people are going to start thinking damn, maybe
was it Brady? Was it Brady?
Maybe it was Brady all this
I've already
time.
been thinking that. And after this,
and I think it's bullshit.
Really gonna say it was Brady.
And I think it's bullshit because while I agree Brady is a big deal, no one knows saying it can be both.
But him, the whole coordinator situation, because not only his OC, he has two DCs this year, his son and Gerard Mayo. He's playing, he's doing a lot of weird shit with his coaching staff. But the rest of the team,
they don't have a quality receiver.
Shit, if Devontae Parker actually lives up to what he was supposed to be, the rest of the dudes are more like Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers, more like number 2 guys. And to get Trent Brown, the Cole Strange pick was a little weird in the draft, but if that team, they're gonna run the ball a ton in the defense. Now, granted, they got back a lot of dudes that were there before, so that'll be interesting to see. But it all comes down to, at the end of the day, it all comes down to that defense. If that defense can hold up and keep them in games,
You going under the center.
You have to. Don't be stupid here, Kris.
Man, like I really want to go under. But I'm going to give Belichick the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go over.
Can you show me 9 wins? Just show me 9 games they can compete in even.
I think they can still beat the Bills in one game. I think they split with anybody in the division.
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, Josh Allen's going to have COVID that game, I guess.
Here's a team I can't figure out, man. Well, I can figure. I mean, well, people are high on. I don't know. I don't get it. The New Orleans Saints. Over numbers 8.5 wins. Last season went 9-8. Barely missed the playoffs. I mean, they did lose Sean Payton, right? He's not coaching anymore, right? And you got Dennis Allen's head coach. I get the NFC South is weak. I get all that. The NFC in general is weak. But I don't understand this number 8.5. Is it because of the environment? Jameis Winston. I'm going under here. Number one. Let's just start there. I just don't understand why people are so high on this team, despite losing Sean Payton and not having question marks at quarterback. You know, Jameis Winston is a starter, but he's hurt already. So
I'm gonna take the over, and I'll explain to you why.
Defense,
not just defense, because that's a given. But let's look at what they have on offense coming back this year now. They have Kamara, who barely played last year. They have Michael Thomas, who didn't even step foot on the football field last year. All right, you're getting back 2 of the top 10 best playmakers in all of football.
Mm-hmm.
And Jameis Winston, when he was playing, was, I hate to say it, looking really good. He wasn't turning the ball over. He wasn't trying to win the game. He was trying to just manage the game and let the game come to him. I just feel like you're going to have a top 5 defense, 2 of the 10 best playmakers in all of football back on the football field. You got to go over, I think.
Kris, what is it?
They got some LSU boys, Jarvis Landry, Honey Badger. So they bring in guys like them back home. Michael Thomas is back healthy. The Jameis thing will be interesting to see if he could really stay healthy. But you got to remember, Ernest, just because they lost Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael still stayed on as offensive coordinator with Dennis Allen. So, and he brought in 2 guys to replace him as defensive coordinator, which is nice. So it's just good. I like the fact that he brought multiple guys in to help him out, because he could easily have been like Lovie Smith and just did both and then overwhelmed himself in his first head coaching job. Or actually, he was head coach for the Raiders for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Who's that again?
Dennis Allen.
Yeah. He was terrible.
Yeah. But
I just mentioned that. It's terrible.
But you have a pretty good offensive line with the offensive weapons. Now, here's the big thing. People forget Alvin Kamara still can get suspended, and it could be a sizable suspension.
Oh, absolutely.
It could only be 6.
That's pretty sizable, though, buddy.
No, because, dude, if you saw the pictures and the whole story about that whole Pro Bowl.
No, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But
so, I don't know. But the fact that they haven't done it yet just shows how incompetent the NFL is. Like, dude,
that's a whole other podcast, buddy. Trust me.
I think they're literally waiting to see if he goes to jail.
But it's one of these things where it just seems like all these defensive heavy teams, what do they do on offense? Great offensive line, good running game. They bring back Mark Ingram. Like, just, man. And at worst, this year, instead of playing a tight end, Taysom Hill at quarterback, you actually bring in Andy Dalton as like a competent backup in case Jameis goes down. But, man, this is one of the tougher ones too, because I see a lot of people hyping up. The people say the Saints are going to have the best defense in the league.
I don't see it.
And that back end, I mean, besides 2 new safeties, but Marcus May they got for a steal. And obviously, Tyrann Mathieu they got for a steal too.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be a bottom 5 team like the fucking Bears and everybody else, but I can see them being 8-win team. But I just don't see it more than that.
I think with the Kamara thing holding like this like cloud over their head, I'll put them
Under. Next.
I'm just having Jets on there like 8 wins. Like they're just gonna be right there.
Yeah. And I wasn't even concerned with Kamara thing. Now you mentioned that now too. Even more so an under now. All right. Next team. You know what's next, right?
Last place in the East.
Yep. New York Football Giants, 7.5 wins. Last year, 4-13. Yay. This is easy, obviously. Under. Way under. As I said in my last episode of this podcast, I think Monday I recorded. I'll say it again. The priority for me as a fan is to see Daniel Jones progress. That's all I want to see. I'm not looking at wins and losses. I'm looking at progression. That's all I care about.
Okay,
that's under. That's it. So
you've been talking progression for 3 straight years now.
Well, now, but now you got the GM I want. I'm not a fan of. I was never a fan of Gettleman. I hated the Pat Shermer hire. I hated the Ben McAdoo hire. Joe Judge was whatever. I'm actually excited about the Brian Daboll thing and the Joe Shad thing. I'm actually somewhat excited about that.
But again, what progress can be made now besides wins?
Well, I'm saying I'm not looking at. You can be 4-5 team and still look good. Deshaun Watson did 2 years ago.
Zack, progression is Daniel Jones being clocked as the fastest dude in the NFL, running an 80-yarder and not stumbling, and actually scoring a touchdown in the series.
Right, that too. That too.
That's the progression he's looking for.
Under.
Getting taken out by the turf monster.
As much hate as you're giving to your own team, thinking they're going to completely suck, I think they're just barely gonna miss this line. I think 6 or 7 wins.
Okay, I'm okay. I'll be okay with that. That's their ceiling anyway. So,
look, they get the Jags, or no, they get Carolina, Chicago, Seattle, Houston.
Wow.
They even play a game against.
Wait. They get the 4 worst teams in football.
Yeah.
The
4 worst. 3 of the 4 worst.
No, the 4 worst. Oh, you said Carolina. You said Carolina. Oh, sorry.
I think Carolina's way better than you.
No, I agree. I actually agree with that. I didn't. I forgot. 3-4. You're right.
So
under.
I think 6 and 11, 7 and 10, but yeah, just barely under.
Under.
Here's the real. Does Saquon actually recover his old form?
He sounds like he's confident to get it done.
Can he make a difference when the game matters and not during garbage time?
I think the dude you have to hope regains his form is Kenny Golladay, because he is not looking good.
He was fucking garbage last year.
And he does not look good this year. So but don't forget, they had a killer draft. Granted, Kayvon Thibodeau is already out for like 2 to 4
weeks.
He's on the fringe of starting game 1, but I think just to start his career, probably keep him out for a game or 2. But dude, they hit the draft. So they got the 2 in high school, the 2 most talented guys in their draft, like Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau were like the top 2 guys in that class, and they are studs. And they're going to shore up that line this year, and I have faith that Daniel Jones shows life. Like, that dude's fast. Yeah. That dude's actually super athletic.
He's very talented too, but just put all together.
He throws a beautiful. He's Danny Dimes 1 second, Mike Vick another second, and then he's like fucking Mark Sanchez the next second, and you just can't figure it out. Like, but maybe with a competent coaching staff and all this, but like another guy. He has Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka was a quarterback like fucking probably 2 years ago in the league, and that's the offensive coordinator. Granted, Brian Daboll is going to call plays, but Don Martindale's been the DC there for a while now, right?
No, this is his first year. This is his first year.
Okay.
So I like the synergy right now with this team now.
But if Ojulari and Thibodeau can create some pass rush, and Leonard Williams is still doing big things in the middle, that defense can actually be interesting. They got Adoree Jackson from Tennessee. Like, there's some interesting pieces there. I mean,
let's say under, please.
I'm going to under. Yeah,
get me excited. Don't get me excited for no reason at all, buddy. You're trying. I know you're trying, but I just want to see progress. That's all I care about. The other New York team here, the Jets, 5.5 wins is their prediction. Last season went 4-13. Zach Wilson is going to miss probably the first couple games of the year, right? Are we? Is that official? He's having surgery. I think. He had surgery already on his knee.
He could still start the season.
Okay. I'm man.
Wait, you're struggling on this one, but you hate your Giants.
I'm gonna go under. I actually want to go over, but I'm gonna go under because of the environment. The AFC is just too good. There's too many good teams in the AFC that you have to have some bad teams on the bottom by default. They'll be a frisky 5-12 team.
Yeah, they'll be a frisky 2-15 team.
Oh, that bad?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Look, I want to say they win 3 games. I'm gonna say they beat the Patriots once.
Okay.
And then they beat the Jags in Seattle. And that's it. They got a legit shot at winning 3 games.
Oof, you're
after
tough
that,
customer, buddy.
After that, you're smoking shit.
You're a tough
because
customer,
from what I saw in the preseason, I want to make them the worst team in football.
Go ahead, Kris.
There's no team that needs their draft class to hit immediately more than the Jets.
Absolutely. Without question.
Because you already lost Mekhi Becton for the season, your left tackle. That hurts.
They
Zach
brought in
Wilson.
a Pro Bowler to replace him.
Yeah, but this is like fucking ancient Dwayne Brown. Remember, their 2 starting tackles this year were the 2 starting tackles for the Seahawks last year, and their fucking offensive line was atrocious. So, like, trust me, their offensive line is not looking good.
I didn't want to find out. It wasn't
Elijah Tucker, who they traded up for the year prior, is like that team. They went like you remember they had 3 first-round picks this year, and they smashed those 3 first-round picks. They really did. Like Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, who they got at the bottom end, steal.
That was the steal of the draft.
And Garrett Wilson, who might have been he was definitely the most polished wide receiver in the draft. But I don't know. I just don't like this team as a whole. Like I'm going under. Like they lost a lot of dudes in the back end for nothing. Like these teams that just give up their great hits in the draft, like losing Marcus May for nothing. Like how do you do that? Like
simple. You're a Jet.
So like stuff like that is just like. But don't forget they do get Carl Lawson, who missed the entire season last year. So that was an impact. That was their biggest impact free agent they signed last year. They didn't get to play a single game. So you have that coming back with Quinn Williams is still an absolute monster. But there's just something about this team. They're sure as hell not hitting 5.5. Fuck, no, there's no way.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Real quick. Are we sure this guy was even a great defensive coach? Or did he have just great defensive players?
Was Salah?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen them play one good quarter of defense.
This is year 2, right? For him, right?
Yeah,
it was year 3.
This is second year.
Okay. That's what I thought, yeah.
But last year, he didn't have one decent quarter on defense. And he hasn't had one decent quarter in the preseason so far. And Ernest, you could play quarterback better than Zach Wilson.
I knew he was going to bust, by the way. Don't forget, I've been calling that since day one.
I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be a good quarterback. But I do see potential in him, though. I see potential. But
yeah, I see potential backup.
All right, next team here, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Overall number is 9.5 wins. Last year, went 9-8, made the playoffs a 7 seed. Call me crazy, man. I hate the Eagles, man. I don't want to give out compliments to this team, but I'm going to say it. This is my NFC East winner here. They signed AJ Brown, so Jalen Hurts, just like Tua in the AFC and the Dolphins. This is a Jalen or bust year for Jalen Hurts. Sorry. So I'm going over. The Eagles win the NFC East, and we go from there. Zack.
Yeah, but I think this is the first year that Jalen Hurts really actually has the pressure on him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but no, I think he still is. If he doesn't pan out, I won't say like they're definitely 1,000% giving up on him. If he has like a
they're gonna start looking. If they start looking at the quarterback after this season, you know that it's he's on borrowed time.
Do you think Minshew Madness is gonna like be creeping up on him all year long?
No, they'll go for somebody else. They go for an elite guy.
No, but you think if Jalen Hurts is having a bad game, you think they throw Minshew in second half?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will.
Well, I think there's a better chance just Jalen Hurts gets hurt and they put him in and stick with Minshew. As the
That's
real.
another thing. That's another possibility too. But go ahead, Zach. What's your prediction of the
Well,
Eagles?
I mean, I really want to do the over because I've been listening to everybody tell me how great it's going to be. But the dude's not a passing quarterback.
Mhm.
All the hate everyone gives Lamar Jackson, he's never had weapons like Jalen Hurts is about to get. And I don't see him being able to complete even 60 to 65%. I just don't see it. I think Jalen Hurts is a 58% passer. He was that in college. That's what he is so far in the pros. That's what he's going to be. And you can bring in Brown, but and Brown's going to start playing like Samuel from the 49ers, it's not going to make a world of difference. They have to do rollouts and a ton of RPOs. So
You going over or under?
I'm going to take the under.
Ooh, so they created a little.
You're asking me to push to 10 wins, and I think that's the best they can do.
Okay.
They got too many games that can go either way.
Okay. Kris?
See, I think both you guys went over on the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
I did, yes.
Yeah, I went under for this reason because I think the Eagles are good enough to win the NFC East.
So they went over on this?
But yes, but not much. Like 10 wins probably gets in that division, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see if AJ Brown starts getting disgruntled if he doesn't get the ball.
Like getting 4 passes a game.
So that'll be a real interesting one. But that offensive line is pretty much set in stone. It's a solid one. They've got enough mix of vets and young dudes in the back end, like in the defense. Darius Slay was a nice pickup for them. James Bradbury, Ernest's boy, big pickup.
That's 2 New York Giants, the former New York Giants there you just mentioned already.
But it'll be interesting to see how they hold up. But it all comes down. This is one team where like one dude pretty much makes or breaks that team as Jalen Hurts, like either set up or not. But I mean, if the Boo Birds come out and they throw Minshew and he plays halfway decent, that'll just be disastrous for that team.
I agree. All right, next team here. We got a Pittsburgh Steelers, who their over number is 7.5 wins. Last year went 9-8 despite the disaster with Big Ben Roethlisberger. Kenny Pickett is probably a starter, right? Nothing official yet, though, but I imagine he'll be a starter week 1.
I don't know, man. Tomlin's such a wild card. I don't know.
He is. This is tough. I'll take a slight over just because of Tomlin. He figures shit out. I don't know what it is. Even on a horrific Big Ben year last year, they figured it out. They got into the playoffs. Then they got embarrassed. But Tomlin's a top 5 coach in the league, easily. They'll figure it out. They're at least an 8-win team here, even with the quarterback issues. I think Trubisky can get you with that environment, that roster. He'll get you 6 to 8 wins, right? Even Trubisky's quarterback the whole year.
Well, I'm going to help you out on math, Ernest. 6 wins doesn't get you the over. 7 wins doesn't get you the over.
No, but, 8, 6, 8 wins. I'm saying Trubisky alone could get you 6 to 8 wins, and then the defense win the couple games.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I again, they were 9-8 with a shell of Roethlisberger.
He was horrible last year.
Look, I think Trubisky or Pickett starting today are better than what Roethlisberger was last season. So if you can get 9 wins last year from Roethlisberger, you can easily get that this coming season. Give me the over.
The only problem is the division, not division, the conference is a lot better. That's the only issue with that. But again, Mike Tomlin.
Okay, so real quick, New England's taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Miami,
it's a playoff team next.
Up in the air.
Playoff team,
but
next.
Tennessee's going to take a step back.
Yeah, so I agree with that.
So Denver takes a step up. It's basically a balancing act in the conference.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay. Kris, go ahead.
You know,
they don't have like a defined number one receiver. Like Deontay Johnson's good, but he drops a lot of balls. Chase Claypool's a fucking clown.
He's a wannabe top 10 guy.
So it's interesting to see like who steps up on this team. And I just don't see it. I think the offensive line shit. I don't think the running game is going to get established. The fact that they have the same, between Terrell Austin, Matt Canada, and Mike Tomlin, there being there helps. But that they're definitively the worst team in that division, like bar none. I think for a fact you can say they're easily worse than the Browns and easily worse than the Ravens and way worse than the Bengals.
I think better than the Browns.
And
better than the Browns this season.
I don't think Tomlin's ever been under 500 until this year. Give me the under. And that's not because I fucking hate the Steelers more than any other team in the league. I just don't see it. They have 3 quarterbacks who are all the same. Like between Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph, like they're having a hard time picking between the 3 of them. Like,
oh, Mason Rudolph, they have no problem putting him third on. Like,
but if
he's not even in a competition.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they do, because now all of a sudden Kenny Pickett was at first looking like the worst of all 3, and now he's gaining momentum. And I think if they just want to give him, he's not going to be Ben Roethlisberger winning 14 fucking games in his rookie year. Like, that's not going to happen. That roster is not the same as what Ben Roethlisberger walked into.
Right.
So for me, I just don't see it. Like, they got a lot of new guys on defense. Again, they have a lot of like key guys like Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt. They're also there. Minka Fitzpatrick was an absolute monster, but
I mean they've got
their O-line is trash, and I think that's what's really going to keep them back, to be honest.
Alrighty, next team here we have the San Francisco 49ers, who over their number right now is 9.5 wins. Last season they went 10-7, made it to the NFC title game for losing the Rams. Obviously, we know the quarterback situation with Trey Lance is a starter, Jimmy G still on the roster, he's still on the train block. This is tough. I'm gonna take a slight over in this one, but I don't know. This could go either way. They could be really, really good this year, or they could be really, really bad, depending on how good Trey Lance is. We'll see. Zach?
Oh, I'm taking the over.
Okay.
Seattle straight garbage.
Yep.
Arizona's taking a step back because they're going to miss Hopkins. And then you're telling me they're going to play Chicago, Carolina, Atlanta, Miami. I mean, they've got some easy games.
You keep saying Miami like they're a bad team. You just established that playoff team this year.
They have won every year because of their defense.
I know, right?
Correct? Now you have a quarterback who could actually put fear in your team. You went to 2 conference finals with Jimmy G, who had put no fear in you.
Right.
They didn't even let him throw during 1 conference finals. And now you got Trey Lance who can at least run. That kind of manipulation is huge. Give me the over.
Okay. Kris?
I will never bet against Kyle Shanahan. Ever.
Me will lie. Yeah.
I think he is one of, if not, he's right. He's top 5 coach in the league for me. Like, he's that good. And for him to put every single egg in the Trey Lance basket, I'm just going to assume he's going to be a stud. I'm going to assume he's going to be a fucking monster. And they're just solid enough studs on defense. They have enough game changers on defense that just are going to make plays between Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw is a monster. Fred Warner might be the best linebacker in the league. Jimmy Ward's been a stud the entire time he's been there. Like, there's no reason for me not to think they're going to be a solid team. Like, and the rest of that division, with Arizona taking a step back and Seattle taking a step back, I don't see how you can't at least have them making the playoffs.
All right, next team here. We got 4 more to go, guys. The Seattle Seahawks. Overall number is 5.5 wins. Last year they won 7-10. Of course, they lost Russell Wilson. This is easy, man. They're gonna be one of probably the third or second worst team in football this year, maybe worse. Easy under for me. Let's go, Zach.
I only saw one game they can really legit win, and that's the Jets. So when you only have one easy win, you got to take the under.
Yeah. Kris?
You know, they got a lot of solid players back in that. That Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that is true.
They got a lot of. Dude, Noah Fant is a stud tight end. Drew Lock is not some like fucking just like bum. Shelby Harris is a stud defensive lineman. So they got proven talent plus a shit ton of draft picks. They used one of their draft picks, shoring up the offensive line. Granted, the rest of the line still, this is tough. I think a real big thing is going to see how their secondary performs because Jamal Adams isn't what they were expecting. The Jamal Adams they were going to get, making him at the time the highest paid safety and giving up all that draft capital.
He doesn't even want to play defensive back. He wants to be a linebacker, get sacks.
So, to me, if they can get some juice out of like a really high paid guy like him, who knows? But it'll be interesting because they're one of those candidate teams where like if it even starts going south a little bit, then all of a sudden maybe they have a fire sale mid-season. They start trading away as much as they can.
And how soon before Pete Carroll gets the axe on the door or at least retires at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean he's the oldest head coach in the league, so
Yep.
I mean
it doesn't look it though, but yeah.
You know, and they do have a nice foundation. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are studs. And like I said, you got Noah Fant. Rashad Penny's not terrible, but it's just one of those things where it's like either they're going to overperform or they're one of those teams that could just get blown up mid-season. Like I would not be shocked if they just got absolutely blown up mid-season and they just started piecing out dudes left and right.
Overperforming is getting 3 wins on the season.
I would say overperforming is like getting close to that over, but I'm going to put them under. But would I be absolutely shocked that they won 6-7 games? No, I wouldn't be absolutely shocked.
I would.
Yeah, I would too. All right, next team here. We got 3 more to go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Overall number is 11.5. Last season, won 13-4. I'm gonna go over only because of the environment, because it's an easy conference. Easy division. They should go 6-0 in the division, right there. I mean, who could be in one game? Maybe the Saints. Maybe the Saints.
Easy.
I don't see them taking 2 though in a row like they last year. Maybe 1. So 5-1 at worst. I do think the Buccaneers. There's some concerns. The O-line, all that. At what point does Brady tail off a little bit too? Also, at some point, I don't know. Is it this year, next year, whatever? At what point does Brady tail off? I don't know, but because the NFC is so weak and it's just top heavy, you got to go over. They're at least a 12-win team. So, Zach.
Oh, I'm taking the under. And I'm confused how you can take the over. All right. Yeah, so they go 5-1 in the division. The only other easy game they have is Seattle. Everything else is a predictable loss or coming down to a final drive to win a game. Like that offense, they lost a tackle. They lost their center during free agency. They lost the guard during free agency. So they're returning 2 starters from last year's offensive line that will be playing.
And some of the guys that are replacing them already got hurt. It's crazy, yeah.
I 10 wins max is what I see.
Wow. Okay, Kris, go ahead.
It's interesting. One thing you can say is their back end, their secondary was really beat up last year. So to get like Carlton Davis back and stuff should help. And Antoine Winfield Jr. is a stud. I think this is the first year Arians is gone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Todd
You got Todd
Bowles
Bowles, right?
taking over. Granted, Byron Leftwich was supposed to leave for Jacksonville State, so I mean that'll be interesting to see. Looks like Todd Bowles is being a real players coach, just letting Tom Brady say, "Fuck it, just take off the rest of the
I am surprised though that number is high as
preseason."
it is. Though I will say that it's a little high.
It is because the fact that they added on like Julio Jones and Russell Gage and all these guys, and Tyler Johnson's still stud, and Chris Godwin's still back. Granted, he's gonna be missing some time. Even though you lose OJ Howard and Gronk, you still have Cam Brate there, and you sign Kyle Rudolph. Like,
You want to go
oh
under
man,
too, don't you?
this is a tough one. This is such a tough one for me.
I mean, if you were to go over, the max is 11, so they're getting by a half a game.
Well,
It's
that's the
too
thing
hard
is,
to take an over.
but there's a lot of overs like that. But the defense still has a lot of the dudes there. Like,
And Chris, it's the NFC. It's the NFC. They're winning 5 games at least in the NFC West alone.
I'll go over just because it's Tom Brady. And
Right.
I'll put it to you this way. There's no way he comes back if he doesn't have faith in the guys that are there already.
That is true.
But they did lose their stud center. He got hurt. So to lose him and then the guard next to him in free agency, and they lost a lot. Now, granted, they brought in Shaq Mason, who played with Tom in New England, so that should help a little bit. And Tristan Wirfs is an absolute monster. So, like, the right side of that line is great, but
right side doesn't mean anything when you're a right-handed quarterback and can see it coming. It's that left side that matters. It's the center calling all the line plays that matters.
It's their linebacking core that really sets it over top. Levante David's still there. Devin White's an absolute monster, and Shaq Barrett coming over from Denver. Like, they've got some key positions that were they're just like they got studs.
I just don't think they have a pass rush. So yeah, the next 2 levels are great, but there's no real pass rush.
Oh, those guys will get there.
All right, 2 more teams to go. The Tennessee Titans over-run number is 9.5 wins. Last season went 12-5. Number 1 seed in the AFC playoff. Lost to your Bengals in the first round. Division round rather. Chris, you talked about earlier about teams take a step back and all that. This is another one. I think take a step back. I think it take at least a couple games back from last year. I'm gonna go under. In fact, I think they were at most a 98 team this year. I think Derrick Henry gave me some concern about his health. Ryan Tannehill looking behind his shoulder at Malik Willis. You know, I don't know. I just think this team is very overrated. They were overrated last year. They got, stole some wins last year. I just think this team is, when you look at also the environment of the AFC and teams getting better, they're the team that gets caught in the win there. I think not only that, they miss the playoffs altogether this year too. On top of that, so I'm going under. Zach.
Oh, I'm with you. I got to take the under. And this is one of the craziest teams out of all of them because you can easily say they could go 5-1, where the only loss they do is on the road to Indianapolis.
Right.
But they had to play the AFC West.
Oh my God, that's probably 1-4.
Not to mention
that's
that,
1-3.
They also had to play Green Bay and Philly and Dallas, which I know Kris ain't big on, but Dallas. But we're talking Tennessee, where the only thing they do is run. So it makes it easier to game plan on defense. 9 wins is a high. I think they might be under 500 at 8-9 when the season.
I can see it. Kris, are you with us?
I mean, they already downgraded from 12-win team to a over/under win total of 9.5. You guys think it's fluky, but I don't think it's. I call it good head coaching. I think Mike Vrabel's up there.
Another thing too, but I just think the roster has gotten a little bit worse.
Yeah.
And Tannehill.
I mean, we'll see. They claim that Robert Woods looks tremendous right now, and I mean, obviously, drafting Treylon Burks, literally taking the pick that you traded AJ Brown for, and then using that on a wide receiver who most embody AJ Brown is interesting. They're literally trying to get a carbon copy of him at a cheaper price. The offensive line still looks solid. Um, up their tight end situation is looking good. I mean, everyone wants to say it's all on Ryan Tannehill, but the defense is still solid. I
Well,
mean,
they lost one of their corners, so
yeah, but you're getting back a first-round pick last year who didn't play the entire year, Caleb Farley. So you're getting him for the entire year now. You signed Bud Dupree to a good contract, improved the pass rush there.
I thought he was still with Pitt.
No, Bud Dupree's with the Titans now. On the other side of Harold Landry, who crushed it last year. They just have a solid mix of like young talent and veteran talent. Like they have a crazy head coach. Like, fuck, it's something about Mike Vrabel, the way he just goes for it all the time. I want that coach that.
Oh, I love him. He's a good coach.
It's 4th and 2. Fuck, I got the best running back in the league. I'm fucking going for it every time. Like, love that.
That's how the Indianapolis coach was as smart as Vrabel. You know, they might have been in the playoffs.
But dudes like that, who just will always put it in his player's hands, that has faith in his team, I will never bet against them. If they lose 2 more games they did last year, it's still over. Give me the over.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So 10-7, you're saying. All right. Last team here, and we know it said best for last. That is the Washington former Redskins, former football team. Should have been Red Tails, but they're the Commanders.
Should have been the Skins. Should have just been the Skins.
We'll discuss it another time. Over under 7.5 wins. Last year, 7-10. Of course, they signed Carson Wentz as their quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and say, guys, hot take. I said earlier on the podcast, hot take. The NFC East taking 3 teams to the playoffs. That third team ain't the Giants. Say right now, it's these Commanders. Carson Wentz does it again. He rises from the ashes. Suck it, Jim Irsay. Over Commanders. Let's go, Zach.
Let me count the reasons why you're like me. Better quarterback, or one of the easiest schedules in all of football.
Run it down. What you got there?
Oh, look. Even at their worst, they get the over because at their worst they're 8-9 this season. But I think they could go 10-7 and easily make the playoffs. They could be the number 2 team, especially if Jalen Hurts takes a step back or chooses not to use his offensive weapons like he's always done. So, yeah, Carson Wentz couldn't get it done in the final game of the season with the coach who's supposedly a great coach, but couldn't figure out how to run the football. Now, yes, I hate our weapons. I think we have nothing at running back. And I think Terry McLaurin is way overrated. I know Kris loves Scary Terry, and he'll probably put him on his fantasy team. But dude is way overrated in my opinion. But it doesn't really matter. It is too easy of a schedule. You're giving me the Giants twice, the Jags, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, even Detroit, who might be a quality team. I think they win.
Go ahead, Kris.
How do we feel about Ron Rivera? That's the real question.
Solid coach.
Overrated.
Solid.
He's barely average. Barely average.
I think he's properly rated. No one says he's a great coach. No one says he's a bad coach. He's good. He's solid.
I wouldn't even put him
as I say in the hood, he's solid.
Would you put him top 16?
Like, I hate the entire back 7 of the defense.
Oh, I agree.
But the front 4 is so fucking good.
And you can win Super Bowls with that. Man, New York Giants did that one, 2007. Just saying.
But the offensive line, I don't.
Kris, do I have to go over it again?
I don't see it. Like
Chicago, Houston, Atlanta,
yeah, but these are teams.
Detroit, the Giants.
Washington's the type of team that is what's going to lose to like all those teams.
Let me just say this real quick. Carson Wentz, this is his last chance. I must not like him. This is his last chance to change the narrative. After this,
I
I'm
think
out.
he still gets another chance.
But I think he
He'll
plays
get 2
like
years.
no matter what, he'd really have to shit. He didn't put up terrible stats last year with Indy.
No, he put up great.
No, he had a good year last year.
But
It's the last 2 games
you
of the year
lose
that he
to
screwed up on.
Jacksonville, like you're not
The
getting
Raiders and Jaguars last week of the year, that cost him.
But it's okay to lose to the Raiders. The Raiders were a decent team.
But to me,
I
it's
blame
just
a coach.
I don't know. I don't see the roster to say like, yeah, they're definitely gonna be over 500. Like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm good.
They
So
don't
you're
have to
going-
be
you're
over
going under.
500. They could go 8-9, Chris. 8
Yeah.
and 9.
8 to 9 wins can make the playoffs in that conference this year. Just saying. It could.
I
I'm saying it
don't
will happen. To say it could happen. All right. Before we get going, that's all 32 teams. Before we get going, quickly, MVPs. I got Josh Allen MVP this year. Zach, what you got? Was that a hunch? Just
you know what? I'm going to do my homer. I want to say Derek Carr, but I'm doing my homer pick. It's going to be Lamar Jackson.
I love it. I love it. Kris.
Oh, man. This is so tough. You know what?
You should be a real homer because he has a legit chance.
He does. I think he's like the 6th highest odds right now. Like I want to be different enough. And I know this is gonna be different. I'm gonna give it to Mahomes. I think
Okay.
Mahomes proves it. Like they're gonna give him more props because he has so many different weapons around him
Has
this
less
year.
around now. Yep.
Look, you're right. If he can win without Tyreek Hill,
It's not
he
about
definitely
winning. He's just gonna. I think he still puts up because they have the same coaching staff and everything like that. He's gonna put up absurd numbers still. Give me Mahomes. Like not like a bounce back, but like he's gonna put up the video game numbers and he's gonna get more credit this year than he's gotten in the past because he's uplifting new guys.
All right, give me your. Should we go Ace title game?
How about defensive player of the year first?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think about that actually.
Wow.
Who you got?
Oh, I got Micah Parsons. They wanted to give it to him.
I thought about that actually, but I'm not sure if that. Yeah. Okay, I got Micah Parsons too. I had it in my mind. He crossed my mind, but I was like, is that too obvious? Okay, I'm with you too, Kris.
Xavier Howard. I think he's gonna crush it this year for the Dolphins, and because the Dolphins made the playoffs, I think he'll get his props.
All right, give me your AFC title game. Who's meeting the AFC title game, and who's winning it?
Chargers, Bills.
I got Bills and Bengals.
Yeah, let's go.
Christopher.
Call me crazy. We're gonna go. I can't.
Ravens, Bengals.
I can't say. I was gonna say Bengals, Raiders, but I can't do it.
That wouldn't shop me.
No. Bengals, Chiefs again. We'll run it back. Bengals, Chiefs.
Okay. NFC title game. I have Rams, Bucks. Pretty easy. Zach.
I think it's Rams, San Fran.
Okay. Again, running it back.
Yeah.
Kris.
You know what's crazy? I'm probably gonna go Rams, San Fran as well.
Okay. I gotta see Trey Lance first. I gotta see him. So I have in the Super Bowl. Who wins those games? I got Super Bowl. I have Bills and Rams.
I agree.
Bills and Rams also.
Yeah.
Okay, Kris.
I got a throwback to the '80s. Rams. Oh, sorry, Niners, Bengals.
What was that last year?
2 young studs at quarterback.
All right, and I got the Bills winning the whole thing this year, as I said earlier in the podcast. So no surprise there. What you got, Zach? Who's the Super Bowl champion this year?
Back-to-back champs.
Rams again. Wow. Okay. Kris.
I'm fucking homer. I'm going Bengals.
Of course you're going Bengals. Of course you are.
This is the first year with like the supreme like optimism. Like we had that once, like when we first went to the playoffs with Carson Palmer, and he blew out his knee, and that on like first play of the game, and that just like blew. And the rest of the time was like Marvin, Andy combo. I knew never was going to get us there.
Right.
And I just never had faith in any of those teams.
Of course.
But this is the first time
you got a quarterback. You got
that not only did they get the quarterback, they gave up the naming rights to the stadium and took off Mike Brown Stadium to get the extra money to use to fortify the offensive line of the team. Like
it feels different, right? It feels different.
Like
you trust
that was when you knew they're bringing in revenue streams to use and signing dudes in free agency where you're like, fuck. And not just like the big names, like to make a splash. Like Alex Kappa, Ted Karras, Lyle Collins, those aren't like big name dudes. Like they didn't go out and get like
those are big names for offensive line guys. Alex Kappa.
Yeah, but most casual fans don't know who Alex Kappa is.
Most casual fans can't name 5 offensive linemen entirely.
Exactly. So to me, like they didn't go out and get Teron Armstead. They didn't go get the biggest fish possible. They went and made the signings that made sense. And it just feels so right because the whole staff is back. All the skill players are back. Like it just feels too. Joey B just seems like the savior. But on the other hand, I feel like if we do see Kansas City again, and with me not being a homer, I think they're gonna fucking destroy us this year because they're just never gonna allow that. Like that's like some fueling shit. Like giving up that game is like something that's probably gonna bug Mahomes for the rest of his career till he gets it back. So I would not be shocked. Like if they just fucking blew the doors off of us in the AFC, if we even got into the playoffs and saw them in playoffs, like I think it'd be a different story this year. But in my dream scenario, yes, I had the Bengals win it all.
All right.
I got one more for you.
Go ahead. Last one.
Top three picks in the draft coming up.
Do you mean teams, right?
Yeah.
Falcons
go in
number
order
1.
if you can.
Falcons number 1. Number 2, I'm gonna go Texans. I'm writing it down right now as we speak. And number 3, I'll go Seahawks.
I'll go Jets, Bears, Seattle.
I think Bears and Jets are 4 and 5 for me. Round them out. So
I'm going to go Texans for sure. Lock it up. Number 1 pick in the draft.
Okay.
Lovie Smith, just number 1 pick. And then it's such a toss-up.
I'll switch. I'll go Texas first because they play in the AFC. So I'll go with that. I'm with you.
Only because of the injuries already sustained on the team. I'm going to go Jets, number 2.
And 3rd?
And because they're in New York. And then 3, oh, man.
Don't sleep on my...
Like, realistically, I want to say Atlanta, so bad. Yeah, I'll say Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be the worst team probably in the NFC. Like, I want to have optimism there, but boy, the amount of talent they lost in that team, it's going to be Atlanta.
Yeah.
Y'all are sleeping on the Bears.
No, the Bears are there. I think the Bears can steal a win here and there, but we'll see. They're definitely in the bottom 5, that's for sure.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of people don't realize how good Justin Fields really is.
If the Bears can steal a win here and there, Justin Fields needs to be an MVP conversation. Okay.
That's
how bad they are. Coaches suck. Defenses suck. Weapons suck. They got nothing. I feel so bad for that kid. There needs to be a GoFundMe page.
And on that note, we did it again, another Over-Unders podcast, NFL Over-Unders, my favorite podcast of the year. My goal was to get this done in less than 2 hours, and again, I failed for the 4th straight year in a row.
This was the fastest year ever.
No, last year was faster. We did 2 hours and 2 minutes last year. This year,
it took me 3.5 hours to listen to it.
Especially with Kris's analysis, like breaking down the whole teams, but I love it. Guys, awesome time as always. And we'll be back for the NBA Over-Unders in October. So, good job.
Let's go Magic.